All right, guys, welcome back to the garage. And I wanted to do a quick video. I had a couple questions about just in some of the videos around some of the parts I've used, some of the parts I have on my machine. And I just did a video yesterday about my new toe clamps that I put out on Maker World. And so with that, I kind of dug around in the drawer and figured out, some of the stuff that I use on a daily basis, and just thought I'd do a quick video on that. So starting with kind of the hold down spoil board system. Right now I'm using T-Track. What you use doesn't really matter. A lot of the clamping solutions work on lots of different platforms, but I would say of the different platforms and of the different spoil board solutions that I've used, the one thing that is consistent is any sort of kind of index pin. I'm using 3D printed index pins. I can print them in different shapes and sizes. I can, if I break one or I cut it with a bit, I can print a new one. It doesn't damage the bit. But basically, what I was getting at there is some sort of index system. I think is my number one favorite thing. I know there's lots of different options for fences and different things like that, but I truly think that the index pins are more versatile than a dedicated fence in any one position. You can set up your index pins anywhere on your grid. You can mark that work location, constantly come back to it. I really do think that on your spoil board, regardless of what you um, do otherwise, index pins, some sort of dog hole system should be part of that. Um, I've used it, like I said, on pretty much every spoil board that I've had. I really like it. So, index pins, highly recommend. Dog holes, that sort of idea. So basically, a grid of holes that you can put the index pins in. You can bring your workpiece up to it, mark, basically a corner reference point. So yeah, highly recommend those. The next is obviously some sort of clamp. Um, Again, I use these toe clamps or tiger claw clamps pretty much exclusively now for most of my clamping needs. I did start and do still use these clamps from Pwn CNC. So these, I've seen people mill them out of different materials, 3D print them. I think there's some free versions. But Pwn CNC are a great company. They started off pretty small, and now they're making their own CNC machines and all kinds of parts and pieces for the CNC community. But one of the things they started with was maker files. So for a few dollars, less than probably $13 or $15, you can buy maker packs of their different projects. That can include dust boots, clamps, all kinds of things. So this is the first clamp that I started with, and I really like these still. I print them to this day. As far as getting any sort of leverage or downward pressure on a workpiece, these clamps work great. They've got a thinner end on one side that you can use, and then a thicker, stouter end on the other side. Then you can move the middle piece around and fit snugly, and then it just goes, whether you're using screw in hold downs or you're using T-track or match fit, the bolts go through, thumb screw on top, and tighten it down, and it's awesome. So definitely highly recommend these types of clamps as well. Like I said, I'll link to these different packs and things that I've used, but these clamps from Pwn CNC are built really well. The other thing from Pwn CNC is these little toe clamps. So these guys have a varied bolting pattern, so you can slide them in and out. But the idea is they clip onto the side of your stock and hold it down, and you get a whole pack of files with different heights, so 3/4 inch, 1 inch, up and down the spectrum. So those are, those are kind of the clamps that I have used. There was a maker, a Thingiverse link, I think, for these clamps, and they're similar to what I've come up with the Tiger clamps, um, but they are more involved. They've got these 6 mil steel pins and a screw that goes in, and as you screw this in, it slides down the rail and pushes on your stock. They work well. I just found that they were more than I needed for most applications. If I need this much holding force, more than likely the plastic of the clamp is going to fail, um, that's pushing on the material before some of the other parts. So I use these for a bit, but I haven't used them as much recently. Um, and mostly that's because I either use this, or if I'm doing aluminum, I'll use my vise. So the other thing that I use for hold down is double-sided tape. So this is X-Fasten there we go. X-Fasten carpentry tape. This stuff is really good. It doesn't leave, I mean, all tape leaves a little bit of residue. I know that lots of people are in to CA glue and painter's tape, and it does work well. But I just found it to be more finicky than using double-sided tape. So with this, I flip the piece over, pull out a few sections of double-sided tape where I need it, cut it, peel the backing off, and flip it over. I don't have to worry about getting CA glue on the wrong thing. I don't have to worry about lining up, the two layers of painter's tape just right. So I did use the CA glue and painter's tape for a bit, but really for a lot of those through cuts, I've I can't remember the last time I used CA and painter's tape versus the double-sided tape. It's faster. It, in my opinion, holds better. I've had painter's tape. If you get the wrong roll of painter's tape, some of it doesn't stick as well. I've had it let go, whereas I have not, on a clean spoil board, I have not had that tape let go. So definitely the cheap stuff. I tried it initially. It doesn't work very well. So I don't recommend cheap double-sided tape, but the X-Fasten stuff is good. There's one other brand, but I can't remember. If I find it, I'll put a link to it as well. But yeah, decent, but yeah, I like this stuff the best. So moving kind of away from fasteners and spoil board, a few of the things that, few accessories that I quite like. This is again from Pone CNC, a bit of a recurring theme here. But they have, again, a maker's pack that includes tramming bars. So this is the one that I printed and like. It can hold whatever gauge that you have, but essentially you put a pin on one side, connect your gauge on the other, and this goes into your spindle and is very useful for tramming your CNC. It's a well-designed bar, reasonably simple to print. It does take a little bit of time depending on your machine, but yeah, a tramming bar, very helpful. In that same vein, very helpful. These are 1, 2, 3 blocks. I believe these are, what are they called? Accurate International. I'll link to a set, but yeah, these work great. I use it quite often for remounting the spindle if I've had to take it off for any reason. It just gives me, machine precision distances that you can use as reference points. So if you don't have a set of 1, 2, 3 blocks, I highly recommend them. They're very useful for all kinds of things. But yeah, a decent set of 1, 2, 3 blocks is a good idea. Calipers are another great idea to have near or around your machine. Just making sure that your stock thickness is right, that your machine, checking your machine gantry. So when you bring your Y axis forward, are you the same distance from the front, left, and right? Good for that. So lots of different uses with the CNC. Definitely recommend a set of calipers out in the shop. Moving more to the machine itself, I've got a couple different pen plotters. If you've got kids, I mean, there's lots of projects that might involve them. This is a Genmitsu pen plotter. It's a little bit fancier. It has a spring-loaded part to it. So basically the pen rides on a spring. And the advantage there is if your stock isn't totally flat, it can compensate a bit for that, versus something like this, which is 3D printed, which goes into your spindle and is super easy to set up and prints very quickly and works great. I did a few projects with this before I got this one, and it works good. But yeah, the fun with drawing with the CNC is it kind of looks cool. It's quieter, and it can definitely serve some purpose. So I'll link to those as well. The other one that I get asked about a bit, this is the Logitech keyboard. I can't remember the model. Oh yeah, there we go, K400 Plus. So this has an integrated touchpad keyboard. This keyboard, it's really good on batteries, and it's been in the shop forever with dust and everything else, and it doesn't break down. Not going to say that you could drop it on the ground and whatnot, but it definitely is compact enough but useful enough. I've tried a few mini keyboards and different things, but that one is a reasonable size and still very useful. So if you're looking for a wireless keyboard, the Logitech K400 or whatever the more modern equivalent is, I highly recommend that. Dust boots is one of the other things. I have been through, I don't know how many different dust boots and iterations. Two I've designed myself. I've got a independent Z-axis dust boot for the Ultimate BCNC, and then I've got a dockable dust boot that I mostly use because I have the rapid change ATC now. So these two I've designed. This one is again a Pone CNC. Going back to that, this is a Pone CNC, I think a V5 dust boot. It mounts on the spindle. It's a relatively simple but very effective dust boot. It does have swappable brushes, so there we go, brushes come off via magnets. So yeah, you can change these out for different size brushes and things like that. But I did start with the V5, and I've used quite a few of the other Pone CNC dust boots. Again, you can buy the maker files and print the parts as needed, or you can buy the finished dust boots from them as well. So then that kind of brings me to some of the things I've done to the machine and what those are. So I did design these little dust caps. So they're just a dust cap for the stepper motor, but they hold the Phoenix connector. I just didn't like that the Phoenix connector was just flapping around. So there's just a way to attach the Phoenix connector and keep it secure and provide a couple places for zip ties to be used. The other upgrade I did was the limit switch holders. So these are inductive probe holders. I have two variations, one for round switches and one for square switches as well. So there's a couple different variations, but they work on the Y and X axis. I do have a version that works on the Z axis, but I don't love it. I'm working on a new design. So for now, I'm just using a mechanical switch there. The other one I have is these. I didn't design these, but I did make some modifications to these. These are the rat rig cable holders. So basically it's a comb style cable holder that you can mount to your extrusion. You have these little cable retainers that you can clip off quite easily and run cables through them. So I like these. You can print them in various sizes and heights to accommodate different cables that you might need. But I think they just kind of look cool. They're certainly simpler and easier to print options than those, but I do think they look kind of cool. So I then have my rapid change ATC. Because of my spindle, I had to print a new top header that was lower profile. So that's why mine might look different than if you ordered one today, what you might get. As well as I printed a essentially a 20, well, it fits on any 2020 extrusion, but a 2020 mounting system so that I can mount it to the front of the frame on the Ultimate B so that it keeps its position intact. This is just a holder for the super longboard e-stop switch that my controller that I use has a remote e-stop switch, and again just mounted to the 2040 extrusion over here. So I believe that part is also up on Maker World. I'll double check that. And that kind of is the cable combs. This is probably a one that needs a second revision, but essentially what I did is design this piece to go inside the cable chain and just kind of snaps in place. And the idea is that it holds your spindle cable, water cables, and then other cables on this side. And it works quite well. It probably, like I said, needs another revision to snap in a little bit more positively, because on the radius, as they bend, sometimes they can fall out. So if it's on the flat part, it holds perfectly, and I have no issues. But if it's on a radius part where it constantly bends, I have had problems there. So just as an FYI, I do have that model available, but it, like I said, it probably needs some tweaking. So, um, but yeah, for the most part, that is what I have done on my machine, and some of the parts I've designed, and some of the parts that I use on a pretty regular basis, and some of the things that I found have worked well for me, and yeah, thought I would share that. So hopefully that was helpful to some. And like I said, I will link to the parts that I can in the description. And yeah, we'll see you out in the garage next time.